Long ago, before the world forgot the old horrors, before the flames of superstition were smothered by reason, there was a woman who defied death itself. A countess whose thirst for blood was more than legend, it was a warning. In the cold lands of Hungary, where shadows stretched long and the night belonged to creatures unseen, her name was spoken in hushed whispers. Elizabeth Bathory. But what if the nightmare never truly ended? Some monsters do not die. Some horrors are not buried. They fester beneath the earth, waiting, listening, until the world dares to remember them. The Blood Countess, beyond mortality. To history, she was a noblewoman. A figure of wealth, power, and influence. But to the people trapped behind the walls of Csejte Castle, she was something far worse, a predator in human form. The Blood Countess. A creature of the night who did not feast on bread and wine, but on suffering, agony, and the lifeblood of her victims. Her legend has been twisted over time, buried beneath layers of rumor and myth. Some say she was merely a sadistic aristocrat, a woman driven to madness by vanity. But what if there was more? What if the stories of her bathing in the blood of virgins were not just grotesque exaggerations, but echoes of a truth darker than we dare imagine? They say she did not merely seek beauty. She sought eternity. Csejte Castle, a gateway to darkness. There are places in this world that do not belong to the living. Places where evil does not fade, but lingers, feeding on time itself. Csejte Castle was such a place. To an outsider, it was a fortress of nobility, its high walls and iron gates shielding the privileged from the chaos of the world. But inside, the air was thick with the scent of blood, the silence punctuated only by muffled screams. Servants who entered did not return. Villagers spoke of figures in the windows at night, staring with eyes that did not blink. And beneath the cold stone floors, the dungeons stretched into the earth, their walls lined with the remains of those who had displeased their mistress. But the question remains, was it simple cruelty? Or was there something more sinister at play? The forbidden rituals. Elizabeth Bathory did not act alone. A dark coven surrounded her, loyal attendants who obeyed her every command. Women who whispered incantations in dead languages. Physicians who did not heal, but experimented. And an alchemist, rumored to have discovered an ancient formula, one that could steal youth from the veins of the innocent. The testimonies of her surviving servants tell of horrors beyond imagination. Girls drained until their bodies were left hollow. Strange symbols carved into flesh, as if their agony was not just enjoyed, but necessary. A ritual of blood, not just for beauty, but for power. What if Bathory was more than a woman? What if she had found something older than time, something that granted her more than youth, something that made her more than human? The walled crypt, a failed attempt to contain her. In the end, justice came. Or at least, an attempt at justice. When the Hungarian king finally sent his forces to storm the castle, they found a nightmare beyond belief. The walls were soaked in crimson. The floors littered with corpses in various states of decay. But Bathory herself, she was calm. Silent. As if she had been waiting. They did not execute her. Perhaps they feared what would happen if they spilled her blood. Instead, they sealed her inside a single room of her own castle, bricked up alive, left to rot in the darkness. But what if that was not a punishment? What if it was a precaution? The legends say she did not scream. She did not beg. She simply laughed, a sound that echoed through the stone halls long after the last brick was placed. Her death was recorded. The books say she perished in 1614. And yet, the stories did not stop. The villagers continued to whisper. The castle remained cursed. And over the centuries, Travelers swore they saw a figure in the ruins, watching from the shadows, her skin untouched by time. The curse that never ended. Legends say Dracula rises once every 100 years, but some monsters never needed to sleep. Did Elizabeth Bathory truly die? Or did she succeed in her search for eternity? What if the rituals worked? What if the blood, the agony, the terror was not wasted, but transformed into something beyond human understanding? And if she did not die, then ask yourself this: what happens when her name is spoken once more? When her story is not just remembered, but revived? Because some nightmares never fade. Some names are more than legend. And some creatures still walk among us, waiting for the moment to return. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Until next time.